Hey, everybody. Welcome to Home Base Monday night. It's such an honor and a privilege to be with you this evening. And it's so much fun that we get together every single Monday night and participate in what I've always called Juice Plus University. This is how you're fed on a weekly basis in the Juice Plus business. So tonight, Home Base is continuing the series, our boot camp series, created by the Fab Five. And this series started 2 weeks ago with Amber Weaver, part one of The Art of Selling. Last week we had Jamie Cantrell with Handling Objections. And tonight, Amber Weaver is back with part two of The Art of Selling. And she shared so much with us that first week. I took copious notes. I revisited her program. I took more notes and I implemented some of the ideas that she shared, because knowledge is not power, applied knowledge is power. So I would encourage you to go back and listen and then take action. So here we go, guys. I am honored and I am privileged to introduce to you National Marketing Director Amber Weaver with part two of The Art of Selling.
I was talking and I did not have myself unmuted. So
there you go.
Hey guys, I hope you guys are having a good Monday night. I'm excited to be here. I actually went back and watched my recording from 2 weeks ago, and I just have to say, I was super excited. I was all over the board. But you know, I told you that there's something to that whole excitement thing, that even if people are just watching you because they're like, what is going on? It's what gets people, you know, to pay attention. And so I am just thrilled to jump back in. And, you know, Terry was spot on when she said it's not knowledge that is power, it's applied knowledge. And that just ties beautifully into the very first thing that I wanted to ask you guys. So 2 weeks ago, in part one of sales training, we talked about knowing our product, really being that expert, but not feeling like we have to know it all before we begin to share, learning along the way as we go. But also we talked about, you know, knowing the product and then positioning the product. So I just want to ask you, we have not seen each other in a couple of weeks. If you would go to your chat, you know, little spot on your computer, if you're able, would you let me know if over these last 2 weeks, have you been able to watch any video about the product or to learn anything about our product? In 2 weeks' time, have you learned anything new or spent time learning about our product, your product, might I add? So just go ahead and type that in if you will. And hopefully that'll start coming in, because this is what I want to remind you of. We are salespeople, and we talked about that. We talked about how that's sometimes the elephant in the room, but if we'll just go ahead and really embrace it, we can begin to shift our mindset around it. Mindset is everything. We sell Juice Plus. However, people don't buy Juice Plus, they buy a solution. And so we have to position ourselves to highlight the problem that we're solving, to highlight that solution. You know, several years ago, Terry actually just was able to connect us to a man. His name is Gordon Hester, and many of you may have heard of Jeff Roberti. He's the top income producer, income earner in the Juice Plus company. And I believe even more so than that, very, if not the top, one of the top people in all of network marketing. And so Gordon works very closely with him and his organization. And so we were able to connect and to learn from him. Through that relationship that we were building as a group, he was just an open book. He allowed us access to him personally. We could email him things. And I was blown away at really just how he walks the walk. He was truly, I would say, about relationships. And so I sent him an email one day and asked a question. And you guys, in less than 48 hours, he had responded with a very long, heartfelt message back. And in that email back, he just began to explain the simplicity of what we do. And I want to share with you tonight 3 things that he told me that I've just always remembered over all these years. He said this, he said, in this business, if you can do these 3 things, you'll be successful. Number 1, have an experience. Number 2, share your experience. And number 3, help others have an experience. So let's think about this for a second, and let's just talk about the product to begin, okay? For me to have an experience with Juice Plus, I have to be a product of the product. We talk about that all the time. I see it over and over when people are just taking the duo, just the vegetables and the fruit. Guess what? They're typically just getting customers who want to start with the vegetable and the fruit. When people are taking all 3 blends, that's typically what they're selling, are those 3 blends. So I want you to even ask yourself, are you a product of the product? You know, last week, or I'm saying last week, but in part 1 of the training, I talked about my experience working for Neiman Marcus. And you probably know this, in the majority of the retail industry, they give their sales associates a discount. Many times, retired people at Neiman's would want to work on call because they wanted that discount. And so there'd be a big sale, and they're like, can I work today? So they could get that discount. Now, why is that? Because they want you to be a product of the product. It doesn't mean that you have to, in that industry, wear every single piece of clothing that comes out, but if you're able to know the quality of the clothing and the designers, you're able to sell them. And when we really realize that we don't have, again, that whole catalog of products, it's very easy for us to be the product or a product of the product. The second thing to this, so we have an experience, and let me just, to elaborate on this, just one little side note here. A lot of times I'll hear reps say, well, I need to have an experience before I can share Juice Plus. Your experience may just be that you went to an event and you learned that Juice Plus was the most researched nutritional product in the world, and that you learned that there was a way for you to flood your body with these, you know, plant powders, and that it was so simple, it was something you could do every day. That is your experience at that point. And the more that you're on our product and the more time that passes, I would say anyone here who's been on the product for more than 2 years knows that you have another experience. And then something happens in your health, maybe like you get bit by a spider, and you have another experience. And then one day you fall down a flight of stairs and you have another experience. And so it just, I'm not saying that that hopefully happens, that is my story, but it just begins to evolve and to grow into even more. So don't underestimate your experience, even if it's that you just learned about this new product and you're excited to share it with people that you love. Okay, so you have that experience, and then the next thing is to share the experience. Now, I'm gonna bet that a lot of us don't do this part enough. I'm even saying, like, myself. It's really easy in our community to have this like bubble, especially in the world of social media, where a lot of people that we begin to see in our news feeds, and you know, we have Voxer and messages and Facebook groups, and so we just kind of sometimes become inundated with Juice Plus. And if we're not careful, we can feel like, well, everyone knows about it. Everyone else is seeing as much about Juice Plus as we are, and that is simply not the case. The majority of times, the reason that people are not finding success in their business, no matter what that business is because they're simply not talking about it enough. So I want you to begin to think about how you're going to share your experience even more than you already are now. And if you're not really sure about, like, I know for me, sometimes I'll just try to take like an inventory on social media. Like, when really is the last time that I've just talked about Juice Plus or shared something along those lines that created that curiosity, or posted about an event or whatever it is? And I'll do an inventory and I'll go back and check. And you know, a month can get away from you really fast, okay? I just want to say that. So don't forget to share your experience. And in doing that, we want to mix up our strategy. And this is really key. I'm going to share with you 4 strategies, and I would love it if you would write these down. There are, I'm sure, others. These are kind of some broad categories, and lots of things in the way that we do business would fit into these things. But number one would be social media. And these are not in, I'm not ranking these in order, I'm just talking about 4, okay? So social media, the reason that social media is an important piece of your business is because people are online. Just think about that. Like, how many times a person is just spending time online? That's where people are. And so if we can learn to position ourselves to build relationships there, we can begin to share Juice Plus in that way, or to at least start the conversation and take it offline. The second thing is in person. That's important, right? You know, no matter how much you're talking to people online, no matter how many things you're doing online, it's important that you also connect to people in real life. IRL, that's the acronym if you're like a millennial, you know, in real life. Phone, that's important. Maybe it's texting. Maybe it's connection calls with other people, like your upline or the experts if you're new. Even if you are an expert, that third-party validation goes a long way. Maybe it's a 3-way chat group that you set up. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. And then the fourth thing is referrals. Hey, this could be a customer that you want to host an event for you. This could be just, you know, going to your customers, and even if they don't want to join you in this business, maybe they want to start to send you referrals. Maybe they know someone who needs this business. Okay, so when we think about those 4 categories, and again, there are lots of ways that we share Juice Plus, okay? But the reality is we want to make sure that we're doing all of them. We don't want to just pick one and only do that one thing. We want to do all of them. Even if you're more dominant or stronger or more skilled in one of those ways, that's okay. You can spend more time. They don't have to be all equally balanced, but you still want to be, you know, mixing up your strategy. I'll go back to the retail industry. You know, we had a building, a brick and mortar building. People would come into the mall where we were at, and they would come into our store. But you guys know, even with companies that have that building, let's just say, they're still spending thousands of dollars on advertising and marketing. They're putting things maybe, you know, in print or on the radio or in magazines or whatever that looks like. And at Neiman's, you know, one of our biggest things that we did is we had our sales associates pick up the phone. That green dress that I told you about 2 weeks ago, if they had just waited, man, I just hope somebody comes in. I hope someone sees that dress on the rack. It probably would not have sold. It sold within a few hours because our top sales associate, a personal shopper who sold over $2 million in clothing a year, picked up the phone and she said, a dress just came in and you have to have it. You have got to have this. And do you know what her mindset really was at that time? It was, if I don't tell her about this dress and she finds out about it, she's going to be mad at me. If she doesn't know about this dress at the next big event that she's going to, she's going to be mad at me because I'm her stylist and that's what I do. And if we could shift our mindset to really that mindset of, if I do not tell a person what I know, they're going to be upset with me. How can I not tell them? You know, we need to make that shift. And so the phone is powerful. The other thing that we would do to bring people into our store is we would have events all the time. We would bring in designers and highlight, you know, a certain clothing line, and it would be a special event where that designer was there. We had creative events, like you guys probably know Juicy Couture. Well, they came out with a line called Critter Couture or something like that, and it was for animals like puppies and dogs. And so people would bring their dogs in, and they would like spend a lot of money on, you know, stuff, shampoo for their dogs and stuff. Okay, so I'm just telling you, we got creative with what we were doing. And whenever we had that event, not only were we bringing people into our store and exposing them to our products, but we were then letting that expert, that third party validation be the one that did the talking. We did, it wasn't like the sales associate at that point, they just, got them in the room. They got seats in the seats. That's what we do in our business. When you have an event and there's that expert, even if it's online or it's on Facebook or it's in your house, or it's you positioning yourself and just sharing with your friends because you know more than they know. You know more. You have your experience. No one can take that from you. Stand on that experience and share that experience from the heart. Get seats in the seats, and don't underestimate the power of the connection call, the three-way call, the chat groups that you can set up where you're connecting them to that expert. What this does is it really eliminates the excuse that, well, I'm new and I don't know enough yet to be able to share. Everyone in every job has a first day. Everyone goes through a process of kind of feeling a little lost. And this is why in the corporate world, they partner you up with someone. We do the same thing in this business. You have access to so many people who want to help you and who want to see you succeed. So take advantage of them. When you are beginning to develop your strategies, you want to make sure you're running things by your upline. Even if it's that social media post. Can you help me craft this? If you're going to do an in-person event, have the event, get seats in the seats, get them there. If you're doing the phone calls, connect them. And of course, with those referrals too, at that point, you've got that customer base and you're asking them, would you be open to helping me out? Would you be open to hosting an event for me or to inviting some of your friends to learn more about what we're doing too? People love to help you. Now, as you do this, you have to understand that the majority of the people in our industry, they might do that one reach out and that's it. If that person says no, or if that person does not get back to them, they're done. This is what happens when a person says, well, I don't have anyone else to talk to. Well, it's probably because they talked to everyone one time and that was it, but not you. Because you understand that you are a salesperson and you're learning strategy and you understand that sales equals income. So the fortune is in the follow-up. We know this. As you begin to mix up your strategy, you have to commit to follow-up. I want now to really talk to you about something that we would do with all of our sales associates on their first day. We would give them a book. And this was, a long time ago, y'all. So technology is really our friend. But we would give them this book. It was a 3-ring binder. And in this book, they would keep like a customer profile. It was their Rolodex, if you will, but it was where all the information on their customers, and they were going to begin to build a customer base. So their birthdays, who their families were, they were getting to know them. I didn't even have a Facebook account back then. So think about how much information we have readily available at our fingertips on people. I could go to your profile page and probably get to know you pretty well, probably find one piece of common ground that I could strike up a conversation with. But they would begin to keep this list, and I remember they would, if a person purchased something, they would like staple a receipt to it. So they always had, the database of what they purchased and what was their last connection with them and what was that last event that they had invited them in or that they'd come to or whatever. And the reason that they had that was because that was their client base. They were going to use that when they needed to make those phone calls. Okay, these were people who earned a paycheck off of commission. As the end of the month came about, they're making phone calls. They want to build their paycheck. And so how are we storing information? How are you keeping up with the people that you're inviting to events or the people who are commenting on your social media posts? How are you understanding where they're at in this sales process, in the sales funnel? Did you just connect with them for the first time, or are they like really ready to purchase? And you just need to maybe ask them if they're ready to get started. Where are they at in the process, and how are you keeping up with it? Now, we all know with Juice Plus, we have an amazing tool called TeamZ. And so TeamZ is a great way to do this online, to do it on the computer or on your phone, you know, simple. But at the end of the day, even if your system is a pen and a paper, you have to have a system. So I'm not here to necessarily tell you what it has to be, but I'm telling you that if you don't have anything, there's probably fruit that's not just low hanging, but fruit that's actually probably rotting on the ground because you just forgot about that person and they fell through the cracks. As a professional, we don't want people to fall through the cracks. We want to be professional and to do the very best that we can at our job. And so having a system in place to keep track of who you're talking to, of where they're at in the process, that's important. Because when we begin to do follow-up, you know, if I have 10 conversations going, I want to be able to keep track with who I'm talking to about what. Now, what was their thing that they were talking about, or where are they at, or what event did they go to? We want to be able to stay organized. And I want to touch really briefly on follow-up tonight, because I believe that follow-up is not only really where the fortune is, but it's one of the most underused things with, I know, I will speak for myself, but I think for a lot of us. And I think the reason is because we are tempted to just be on to the next thing. You know, we have an event and we already know what the next 3 events are going to be coming up. There are so many events. And we can sometimes feel like, oh, if there just weren't so many events. But you know what? I remember Terry telling us about the times when she was in the business and there was just like one event. And they were all saying, I wish if there were only more events. So there's always going to be, you know, 2 sides to every coin. All right. So let's be grateful that we have a lot of different events going on, lots of ways that we can have events, but let's also be professional and let's follow up. And let's make sure that we ask the questions and that we take care of the people that we're putting in our pipeline, if you will. We're putting into our funnel. So the fortunes in the follow-up, we want to get good at this. And I'm actually just going to share a couple of thoughts. I know we have about 6 minutes left from a training that I've done before. And this training was just off of a training from Ali Schneider, who did an incredible job training us on follow-up. And I just want to touch on this because it was so good. I think it's worth mentioning again. We want to shift our thoughts. You can either go in and think, I'm scared of being pushy, or you can position yourself as a professional. So move from pushy to professional. Move from I'm bothering them to I'm caring for them. Move from, well, what will others think, to being more concerned with what's in it for them. You know, the health that they're going to be able to have because of this simple solution, the options that they're going to be able to have because of this business. Change the way that you approach follow-up. Remember your own story. No one can take your experience from you. Remember the average number of exposures that it takes, about 5 to 8 exposures. Yet so many stop after 1. This is actually why, how many of you have ever been somewhere and you talk to someone about Juice Plus and they say, oh yeah, I've actually heard of that before. So-and-so mentioned it to me. Why did so-and-so not follow up? Have you ever been the person that someone else got the sale of the person that you actually mentioned it to? But because you didn't do the follow-up, they were low-hanging fruit and someone else just, it wasn't even like they were trying, they just stumbled upon it. They just happened to walk, you know, in front of them. And so it was like, oh, you sell Juice Plus? Okay, yeah, my friend Amber told me I need that. I'm ready to get started. You know, you did all the legwork, but you never did the follow-up. Or maybe you didn't know how to close the sale. We'll talk about that next week. Okay, follow-up is the key to building relationships. Remember, we are in the relationship building business. If you're afraid that people are going to think that you'll have some kind of a hidden agenda, well, they'll know if you have a hidden agenda if you just talk to them one time about Juice Plus and then never talk to them again. So remember that sometimes we become the things that we like fear being the most. That's what we put out there. So just like we're going to embrace being salespeople, we're going to embrace being professionals and following up. So if a person says no, be glad that they responded to you. No never means no. I always think it just means not now. But your response is the key to helping them in the future. And now is your chance to actually make sure that they realize you're not caught up in the outcome. That you're really in this to see if it's a fit for them. Okay, so maybe you have the conversation, maybe they said that they wanted to get started and then maybe now all of a sudden they're not responding to you. Well, you got to keep following up. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Offer grace. Remember, they have a busy life too. They have a lot of noise maybe going on in their life, but make sure that you don't start telling yourself stories. You don't start making up stories. They don't like me. Oh no, they think I just want to make a sale of Juice Plus, you know, all those things. Okay, so there's some great follow-up verbiage, and I just want to share this really quickly. I want you to just hear this. This is posted on the Team Up page in the files section, so you can get it, okay? But let's say you have to reach out again. And so, Jana, I can see you right now. So just, hey, Jana, I'm so sorry that we didn't get to connect on Thursday. Please don't hesitate to tell me no if this is not for you. You know, you're not going to hurt my feelings at all. This is about you and your family. I'm just the messenger here. Wow. Is Jana going to be like offended by that? No. Okay, well, what if, you know, all of a sudden I need to, she's like, oh, hey, I'm so sorry. I didn't reach back out, blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, no worry. I am really good at what I do. And a part of that is being good at follow-up. Don't you love the confidence in that? I just want to make sure that you know that I haven't forgotten about our conversation. I'm so ready for us to just, you know, work together. We want to get your energy level back up, whatever it was that they were wanting when you were talking to them. But then what if they just stop responding? They're like ghosting you. That's a real word, okay? Hey, Jana. Now, girl, you're totally ghosting me. Listen, it is absolutely okay if now is not the time for you to get started with Juice Plus. Don't worry about telling me no if it's not a fit for you. However, I know how ready you were to make some changes for you and your family. And I'm just trying to be a good friend and to do follow-up. Let me know what you're thinking. You guys, the fortune is in the follow-up. And if you avoid it, then you're just going to leave people hanging. They're just going to be that low-hanging fruit. So let's be professional this week. I know we all have other calls that we're going to get onto where we're going to kind of debrief and maybe have like some activities that we want to do. But this information is available on the Team Up page. And I just want to continue to encourage you to keep learning about our product. Keep learning how to position it and mix up your strategy this week and just see what happens.
All right. Amber Weaver, this is a deep dive, my friend. This is a deep dive into the art. It's more than just the art of selling. It's the art of communication. It's the art of listening. It's the art of conversation. So thank you so much for this. I can't wait for you to wrap this up next week, but we've got a lot of work to do before that happens. So we're going to go into debrief. If you're with the Judy Strickler group, Jen and Henry Hageman, or me, we're going to be here, but we have to jump off and then get back on so Kathy can shut this down. Please go to your appropriate groups for debriefing. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amber.